without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime, and you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
The Trump administration is buying back more offshore wind leases.
It's not going to be wind.
President Trump's made his disdain for wind energy plain, and his administration's now spent nearly $2.6 billion in an effort to discourage its expansion in favor of fossil fuels. The latest came Wednesday when it bought back leases for 4 more offshore wind projects. Chicago-based Invenergy agreed to end them in exchange for reimbursements of fees totaling $765 million. It had already canceled the largest of the 4 off New Jersey's coast in November. The others are off the coasts of Maine and California. The company plans to invest the money in natural gas and geothermal ventures. I'm Ben Thomas.
The Fed keeping its key interest rate unchanged, yet nearly half the central bank's policymakers say they can support a rate hike later in the year. Meanwhile, the Bank of England holding its main interest rate at 3.75%. Townhall.com.
From the KSEV Weather Center, today will be humid with variable clouds reaching a high of 96. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with very warm and humid conditions and a low of 81. Tomorrow will bring mostly cloudy skies and humidity with a thunderstorm possible in the afternoon and a high of 92. Looking ahead to Saturday, anticipate a mix of clouds and sunshine with a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. It will remain humid with a high of 90. Sunday will be partly sunny and humid with a high of 93. With the KACV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Shopping insurance? Contact Joe Wardell. He's an independent agent, and he can look at what you have, shop and see. His number, 281-944-9025. Joe Wardell, 281-944-9025.
Jim Clouk, a.k.a. Check-A-Pro Joe here. Houston's best contractors. Houston's smartest homeowners. It all starts with the Check-A-Pro radio show. Now hear my show every Saturday at 7 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
Get ready for the next generation of talk radio. It's time for politics, pop culture, and proud pro-American conservatism. Strap yourselves in. Grab a coffee. It's time for the Chris Salcedo Show on the Voice of Texas.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
So many times it happens too fast. You trade your passion for glory. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive.
It's Chris Salcedo Show. I don't know why I wake up today in such a cantankerous mood. I just do. Maybe it's because when I went to bed last night, what I saw, the headline that I read before I went to bed last night was President Trump personally signs Iranian peace deal in Versailles at dinner. Went out of his way to make sure the document got to him personally so we could sign it. Peace deal is done. The Straits of Hormuz are opening up. The Gulf states are all affirming. The Iranian figurehead president, we all know the Ayatollah runs that garbage show over there. And they signed it too. It's over. What was it, about 120 plus days? 120 days? Oh, it's just like Afghanistan, which was 21 years. America's longest war, courtesy of George W. Bush and the America Last cabal. It's just like Iraq. What, 4 years, 5 years? Actually, they were there a lot longer than that. But the official combat operations. right? No, strangely, folks, there are some people out there who don't know the difference between 120 days and 21 years. I don't know what to do about those people. That's kind of what I said that to myself. I go, these folks who are busting my chops had to clean that up. Busting my chops, busting the president's chops. It's just like Iraq. It's just like Afghanistan. America's going to be paying to rebuild Iran. We just destroyed Iran. No. Details released yesterday. Guess what? It was like I said, the Arab states and Iran's own money. Now, will private investors from America be able to go, yeah, the government can't stop you. We're not at war with them anymore. They're not a designee supporter of terrorism. If they get thrown on the terrorism watch list again, after they try to restore some ability to support terrorism, I'm sure that those private investment blockades will go back up, but they're dropped now because they're not a threat anymore. Not a threat to the world, not a threat to us anymore, because President Donald Trump put America first. He did. My thanks in my cantankerous rant here. I want to give my thanks to those who did forfeit their lives for their country, a debt we can't repay. And the president, the vice president articulating, they feel this too. So now future presidents and future Congresses, even though they won't thank President Trump because they hate him, I've got that coming up. They hate him. They will have him to thank. We will have him to thank for removing the number one state sponsor of terrorism out of our political, our defense posture calculus, our economic calculus moving forward. What to know, writes the Karl Rove Never Trump Network. The Trump administration revealed in full the memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran on Wednesday. The deal refutes reports that the U.S. would be offering Iran $300 billion, making clear the U.S. would instead permit outside investment into Iran if it adhered to the memorandum of understanding. The rest of the money's coming from its Gulf partners, who will have a great deal of influence in rebuilding Iran. Those Gulf partners that are our allies. Remember, Barack Hussein Obama, his big plan, which some of you called up here and seemed to endorse, was to make Iran a nuclear power. That was his big plan. Why don't we give the country who hates our flippin' guts nuclear weapons? What could go wrong? That was Obama's big deal. How many of you called up this program and said, yeah, I'm with Obama? Now, you didn't say those words. You didn't say those words. But you said, we got to leave Iran alone. Let them get their nukes. Leave them alone. This is just like Iraq, just like Afghanistan. I'm ranting again. It wasn't. It's not. Nothing about it is the same. Because we have a pro-American president. George W. Bush can't make that claim. Neither can Barack Hussein Obama. Neither can Beijing Biden or President Otto Penn. They can't make that claim. By evidence of their work product, folks. President Trump can. President Donald Trump earlier slammed a false story about $300 billion in investment fund for Iran, saying the U.S. is not investing 10 cents. No, it will not be. The United States taxpayer will not be on the hook for busting up a country and then rebuilding the country. Sorry, we're not doing the nation building anymore. We went to war with Iran. Sorry, we had an operation with Iran. We won. And now they can figure out a way to rebuild. So that's where we are. Speaking to reporters of the G7 summit in France, President Trump said he has not asked Arab allies to invest in any such fund. He warned Iran that the memorandum of understanding is not final, and if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs. So every access they get, the $300 billion, is either from private investment from Arab states who volunteered on their own. And by the way, they have a vested interest in rebuilding Iran, so they can get that nice in with the Iranians and make sure that they don't rise up to cause trouble in the future. They will if allowed to. And all of that economic opportunity will be something called conditions-based. Do you know, hey, for all of you out there who are saying, this is just like Barack Obama. It's just like what he did. Do you remember? Barack Obama gave $400 million, just for starters, of your cash to the Iranians to bribe them, which ended up killing Americans and killing our allies later. That was his approach. No conditions. Here you go. Just have a whole bunch of money and please do what we ask. The Iranians said, what a stupid... President Trump was there saying about Barack Hussein Obama, and I'm having a hard time disagreeing with the evaluation, that Barack Obama was one stupid SOB. I can't say exactly what the president said, but you get the idea. And he was. And maybe Obama wasn't stupid. Maybe Obama was just a traitor. It could be Obama was a traitor and not stupid, which means he did a deal knowing that he was gifting the number one state sponsor of terror hundreds of millions of American dollars in unmarked cash, foreign currency on pallets. Remember that? In the dead of night, because it was so wonderful to support the number one state sponsor of terrorism with your money. Everybody forgets this crap, and I don't understand why. Oh yeah, it's just what Trump is doing. Give me a break. So there's all of that, folks. Let's see. President Trump returned to the United States Thursday evening after a high-stakes G7 summit in France that culminated in the signing of the memorandum. Trump signed the agreement while attending meetings in France, while Iran signed remotely. Temporary framework calls for an immediate cessation of hostilities, the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, limits on Iranians' enriched uranium stockpile, and a 60-day window to negotiate a permanent agreement addressing Tehran's nuclear program. So that's where criticism, if you can call it that, that's where you can be a little leery. We undertook an operation. Americans lost their lives. It was costly, both at the pump and for munitions, and we're going to leave a presence over there. President Trump insists Iran will not get a nuclear weapon. However, the way the Karl Rove Never Trump Network is framing this, limits on Iran's enriched uranium stockpile. Limits. That's not elimination. The words elimination of their stockpile need to be part of the next 60-day, quote, negotiations. And if the Iranians do not negotiate in good faith, and I think that there's plenty of pressure for them in the region and the United States to do so, I think we may need to drop more bombs. But that's the only sticking point. The deal also includes provisions to ease economic pressure on Iran, including access to some of their frozen assets, lifting certain restrictions based on Iran's performance. If they meet certain benchmarks, then they get access to the money. That's how it's all going to work. So, by and large, looking good. One yellow flag. I don't want to say it's a red flag. A yellow flag for me is, okay, the next 60 days, let's make sure that the Iranian regime is not a nuclear power. Now, back here at home, while the president is wrapping up a war/operation with Iran, the United States Senate is going to war with you and me. The United States Senate under Republicans is going to war with President Trump because they, quote, hate President Trump. I'll be right back.
the best in financial talk and more. Money Matters, every Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. till noon, here on AM 700 KSCV, AM 1540 KGBC, and streaming online at kscvradio.com.
Is it time to sell your house? Well, then hire a real estate team that will sell your house quickly and for top dollar. That's the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. The team concept starts with experience, a drive and passion from Ronnie and Kathy Matthews, the founder.
Well, now I know why I was so cantankerous. I hadn't had my first sip of Hunter's Blend coffee yet, folks. Hold on. Just give me a second. Perfect from the very first sip to the very last sip, folks. It's Hunter's Blend Coffee, the official coffee sponsor of the Chris Salcedo Show. Did you know Hunter's Blend Coffee sources from the top 6% of all coffee beans on planet Earth, and that's how they make this coffee? That's why I'm confident in saying, because this is my experience, you will never have had coffee this fresh or this good in your life. So, there's only one caution I've got to give you, folks. Once you go with Hunter's Blend Coffee, you are never going back, because it's coffee that you're going to enjoy every sip, every cup. It's coffee that you're going to be proud to serve to family and friends that are coming over to the house. So look, folks, Hunter's Blend Coffee, run by a bunch of guys who love the Second Amendment, love this country, love God Almighty. HuntersBlendCoffee.com/storm. You go there, HuntersBlendCoffee.com/storm. You use my promo code STORM and you're getting 10% off your first order. I suggest the sample pack to make sure you understand the entire fare of Hunter's Blend Coffee at your fingertips. The official coffee sponsor of the Chris Salcedo Show. It is that good, folks. HuntersBlendCoffee.com/storm. Promo code STORM.
All have failed before me. It's probably the greatest peace deal of all time. I don't know. People tell me things. What a gift to the world, okay?
Chris X Radio, weekdays 4 till 6, right here on the Voice of Texas.
Well, that was new. I was teeing up this article to read to you folks, and there were two pop-up ads. I mean, I got rid of one, and then there was another pop-up ad right underneath it. I was like, whoa, what? Maybe I'll talk to Amber Duke the next time I have her on. Hey, what's the deal with that? This is a Daily Caller article, folks. It's an exclusive from our friends at the Daily Caller. Here's the headline. Dear Leader Thune admits some Senate Republicans hate Trump so much they refuse to support the Save America Act. Their hate is so strong for President Trump that they are going to screw the country they claim to serve and the constituents they claim to serve. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, I know these kind of people, folks. They're dangerous. They have their moral center is one that is not American. Their moral center is one that we don't want a part of as an American people. Remember, our elected officials are supposed to be a cut above. They're supposed to be discerning. They're supposed to check their personal feelings aside and do their flipping job. But apparently, these Republican senators are children, every bit as much children as the Democrats are. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, we call him Dear Leader John Thune, admitted some Senate Republicans hate President Trump too much to support the Save America Act. Multiple sources familiar with the comments told the Daily Caller. Folks, I can't understand hating somebody so much that I would screw over my family. I can't imagine hating, because I don't, I mean, even the most staunch communist out there, there is no amount of hate that could ever persuade me to harm my family. But it's exactly what these little left-wing Republican senators are allowing to have happen. So consumed with hate of President Trump. Why? Because he serves the people and not them. He serves the American people. It's America first, and they hate him for it. Thune admitted during a closed-door GOP lunch on Wednesday that some Republican senators oppose President Donald Trump so strongly that they will never vote for the Save America Act, regardless of the legislation's merits, according to several sources familiar with the matter. I don't know how we get beyond people like that. I'm just saying, if this is your senator, folks, out there around the country, if this is your senator, you got to find out and you got to make sure they do not return to power. Because a senator that allows his or her own personal hatred of the president of the United States to get in the way of serving the people of the United States and their own voters, they are dangerous people. They are every bit the traitor I believe Barack Hussein Obama was. The discussion quickly escalated into a heated exchange between Republican Utah Senator Mike Lee and the bill's chief Senate sponsor. He's the bill's chief Senate sponsor, and several of his GOP colleagues, Republican Texas Senator John Cornyn and Thune, both challenged Lee's push for the legislation, according to sources familiar with the meeting. Oh, John Cornyn, one who possibly hates President Trump so much that he would screw us all over. Oh, Chris Salcedo, you're a liar about John Cornyn. He's a co-sponsor. Yeah, right. A co-sponsor on a bill he has been assured will never see the light of day. Will never get an up or down vote because Senator Thune, dear Leader Thune, is going to protect all of those who hate President Trump. Yeah, that totally happened, a source familiar with the matter told the Daily Caller. Still, the majority leader's office denies the admission. This is a baseless claim and is unequivocally untrue. A spokesman for Thune told the Daily Caller, well, you know what, frankly, I don't believe you. You know why? Because we don't have the Save America Act. You know why? Because your dear leader, John Thune, has been lying to the American people about his ability to put that on President Trump's desk. So I'm sorry, spokesperson, and I think I know who the spokesperson is. You're a liar. You're a stone cold liar. At least, maybe you're not lying to us because this is what you were told. Senator Thune told you it wasn't true, and so you came out and that's what you regurgitated. But I don't trust Senator Thune's office any more than I could throw it. The confrontation was first reported by Punchbowl News reporter Andrew Desiderio, who wrote on Wednesday's X post, GOP senators went after Senator Mark Lee during a closed-door meeting today over his push for the Save America Act. Does anybody disbelieve that? Of course not. Stop pointing out that we're screwing over our own voters, damn it. We are with the Democrats, say these Senate Republicans. We love Democrats' ability to cheat at the ballot box, say these Republicans. We want to screw over the American people, say these Republicans. We want to screw over the country and allow unfair elections, say these Republicans. And every single time you go on the Karl Rove Never Trump Network or visit with Chris Salcedo and at Alexander Muse on the third rail, every single time you do, Senator Lee, you make us all look like the traitorous pieces of garbage we are. Stop it. And you are traitors. You fake Republicans. You are. The idea that you would allow hatred of this president who puts our nation first, disrupting, granted, all of your money-making schemes, all of your graft. It's just because you hate him that you're willing to destroy this country and our people is sick and sad. The idea that you would not defend the most sacred right we have as Americans, the right to choose our leaders, that you would actively, not only passively, but actively undermine that prospect of Americanism is sick and it's sad. Now, I don't know how you all feel about this, but, and I know there will be some out there who say, you know what? This devotion to President Trump, you're like a cult. So let me get this straight. To prove I'm not part of a cult, I've got to sign on to allowing Democrats to cheat at the ballot box, that's how I prove I'm not in a cult? Is that what I got to do? I've got to prove I'm not in a cult. I've got to allow Democrats to cheat at the ballot box. Is that it? Just like there are certain red groups here in Texas, folks, who say the way I've got to prove I'm not in a cult is to allow Democrats to choose Republicans in primary voting. Oh, yeah. Got some research coming out about that group, folks. And I'm tracking down one component of this group that they're also pro illegal alien. They're pro open borders. I will, once I get the ducks in the row there, folks, I will be telling you all about it. Anywho, President Trump, while he was talking with Prime Minister Modi yesterday, Prime Minister of India, have a listen to this.
By the Democrats, and they said they were going to approve FISA. And I said, but we want FISA approved, but we want the Save America Act approved. Voter ID, proof of citizenship. No.
By the way, it's already approved, Mr. President. The American people, 84% of the American people approve of the Save America Act. We already approve. It's our so-called, well, I wasn't going to call them leaders. It's politicians who refuse to deliver on a lawful and constitutional law because they don't approve. They believe they run us rather than us running them. And again, that makes them dangerous and it makes them unqualified to serve in American government.
Mail-in ballots with exceptions, like for the military, you're sick, you're traveling.
By the way, somebody who's talking in the background, they're not being rude. They're interpreting for Prime Minister Modi.
Disabled, very, open and generous. We also want no men playing in women's sports, so we want no transgender mutilization of our children. None.
By the way, Modi is now laughing after President Trump said we don't want men playing in women's sports. Modi is laughing at all of the fake Republicans and all of you socialist Democrats out there that have done this. Other countries look at us and they look at this transgender idiocy and they say, you got to be kidding me. By the way, the vast majority of Americans do that too. The only reason we suffer under this unrelenting stupidity, non-scientific stupidity, is because so many fake Republicans are willing to surrender to these leftists and Marxists who run media and who run the Democrat Party. The vast majority of Americans know and understand it is stupid to allow males to participate in women's sports. The idea that little Susie can beat little Johnny is not scientific. And here's Modi coming from a nation of, a lot of people that are dedicated to science. He's laughing his butt off at the stupidity of you Democrats and you leftists out there.
Those are 5 things that are 99% that's all we want. It's not a lot. The Save America Act. And that can be passed any way they want to pass it, but I'm not going to sign FISA unless it's done. And this was like a rush act. And it was a rush act by the Democrats. All of a sudden they want to get, and why are they afraid of this guy? They're so afraid of him.
Yeah, they're talking about Bill Pulte. Bill Pulte. By the way, we went over this yesterday on that Truth Social post the president put out. So Mike Lee is the one who's probably the most stalwart, although I'm seeing Anna Paulina Luna. I'm seeing Senator Rand Paul. They're trying to give some support. It's scant support, folks. And maybe you should be calling up your representative saying, hey, why aren't you joining Senator Mike Lee and President Trump calling out these fake Republicans? Why aren't you? Why aren't you taking to social media? Why aren't you getting in front of media and calling for the immediate passage of the Save America Act? Why aren't you doing that? Telephone number is 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Mike Lee, we'll hear from him next on The Voice of Texas.
After a hard rain, you can see them. The water stains on the ceiling or the dripping water from a recessed light. Now you start to get nervous. The because you know leaks can cause big problems.
Once the water enters the structure, the trouble starts. Water weakens rafters and beams over time. It soaks through drywall.
You know, I don't want to give you folks the impression that I'm cantankerous this morning because I didn't get a good night's sleep. I actually slept like a baby last night. Why? Because I sleep on My Pillow. I sleep on My Pillow sheets. I have tons of My Pillow products that make sure that every single time my head hits that My Pillow, I get a good night's rest. And folks, the discounts for My Pillow products are deep and they're ever changing, by the way, folks. The latest example I have is probably the bare bones minimum of savings you're going to be able to get on a whole array of products. If you need to know what I'm talking about, not just pillows and sheets and body pillows or multi-use pillows, decorative stuff, you can go to mypillow.com and check out all their wares. You can call 800-819-4823. That's 800-819-4823 when you go, and you can ask about their products. And as long as you have my promo code, Team Liberty, you unlock the savings. For example, a standard My Pillow, $50? No. With my promo code, Team Liberty, $18. If you want some king size sheets, high quality, crisp, cool sheets to slip into bed tonight, well, normally running you $80 retail. Anybody else out there other than you goes to mypillow.com or calls 800-819-4823. We'll pay $80 for those sheets, but not you. You got the promo code Team Liberty, and that knocks that price down to $25. So, folks, the discounts are real, the discounts are deep, and they are ever changing. So, just find out how much money you can save if you're in the market to upgrade your bedding. Go to mypillow.com, 800-819-4823, 800-819-4823. The promo code Team Liberty.
High performance and good value. I recommend it highly. Go to AmericanStandardAir.com and find the nearest independent American Standard dealer near you. Comfort the way you like it. AmericanStandardAir.com.
What if you could invest in real estate for pennies on the dollar? Find out how this Saturday at 2 p.m. on the Check a Pro radio show, when tax lien certificate expert Ted Thomas reveals one of America's best kept investment secrets. Tune in this Saturday at 2 p.m.
What, no weather? Okay. I was waiting for the weather, but here we go. All right, folks, welcome back. Telephone number for us is 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. How many of you agree with senators who will compromise our voting system and the safety and security of the United States out of hatred for President Trump? Show of hands. How many of you believe that's a good way to go, that if you hate somebody enough, you can go ahead and screw your own voters and screw the country? I'd like to know. Is that the act of a statesman or a stateswoman, or is that the act of a petulant child with the maturity level of a gnat? I'd like to know what you guys think about this. Seriously. This is, many of you out there, and you know how much I love the soap opera on Capitol Hill, and this is very soap opera-esque. I'm not talking about they don't like President Trump. Oh, look at all the palace intrigue. I don't give a crap about any of that. What I care about is that something's not being done for you and me that you and I all agree would benefit the country, would benefit us, which is a necessary part of being an American, and they refuse to give it out of hatred for one man. So I'm asking all of you, and there are some of you out there who are Trump haters in this audience. Do you hate Trump so much that you would screw over the entire country just to lash out at him? Is that the mindset you can back up? Maybe you back up these senators. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. Let me know what you think. Here's Mike Lee talking about the substance of what we're talking about here, about the ability of the United States Senate to pass the Save America Act if, and I want to say if, they didn't hate President Trump so much. Listen to this.
Mr. President, our elections need to be characterized by two things: We need to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. And we need to do that by making sure that people establish their citizenship and therefore their eligibility to vote when they register, and that they show who they are when they show up on election day.
How many of you disagree with that? Show of hands. I mean, come on. All you Democrats out there, I'm sure you support having foreign nationals voting in our elections. They're doing it in California. They're doing it in certain jurisdictions. And then I'm sure many of you support having somebody show up and vote for you instead of you. That you oppose voter ID. Tell me why Senator Mike Lee is wrong. And tell me why all those fake Republicans are right to stop the Save America Act in collusion with socialists and Marxists because they hate President Trump.
This isn't hard. This isn't unusual. Every country in the entire world, countries you're familiar with, countries you're not, countries as wide-ranging as Mexico, Brazil, India, Argentina, Peru.
You know, that really kicks me in the groin. The fact that a corrupt narco-terrorist state like Mexico has higher voting standards than the United States of America. Doesn't that just chap your hide that in Mexico, they don't allow foreigners to own property. They don't allow foreigners to come in and vote in their elections. Yet in America, we do. Why is that, folks? Why is that? And I would say it is because of the Uniparty. Their dedication to cheating us, we the people. And right now, folks, it is the Uniparty in Washington, D.C. in the United States Senate versus all of us and President Trump.
Botswana, Burundi, they all have voter ID requirements. We do not. We do not want to leave this amount of power sitting on the table so that foreign powers can send forth people who are not eligible to vote in this country and vote anyway.
Yes, well, we don't, but guys like Senator John Cornyn do. Where would John Cornyn be without Democrat and foreign national votes, huh? Maybe over the last 24 years, he wouldn't have won all those abilities to stab us in the back, hence attacking Mike Lee behind closed doors, according to the reports. Why would Senator Tom Tillis, if he could have rigged North Carolina's elections or continue to rig North Carolina's elections, he might have not needed President Trump's endorsement. Probably not, but he probably needed it. That all the amount of Democrat cheating and left-wing cheating wasn't enough to overcome a Trump endorsement or lack thereof. How many of you disagree with Senator Mike Lee that these are important things?
We need to do this. The House of Representatives has passed the Save America Act. We now have the opportunity to vote on that same bill, the Save America Act here. This bill, Mr. President, will disenfranchise no one. It will make us all more free. It will protect the sanctity, the dignity of your vote. When we allow people who are not allowed to vote, we rob Americans of their vote. Let's make it easy to vote, hard to cheat. Let's pass this bill.
Yeah, there you go. Easy to vote, hard to cheat. And he got blasted by, air quote, Republicans yesterday on this. Because those Republicans are now dedicated to Democrat cheating. And like we saw in California, folks. They're dedicated to it. There are elements in the state of Texas, folks, and we'll be outing them in short order. They go to war with us, we go to war with them, who want to keep our primaries open. Guess what, folks? Governor Greg Abbott came out in favor of closing down the primaries. Democrats should not be choosing Republican candidates, period. Period. The Attorney General is on board with the governor saying, yep, close them down. Close them down. Republicans vote in Republican primaries. Democrats vote in Democrat primaries. That's the way it ought to be. We have the current Secretary of State, the shrub, getting ready to leave the Secretary of State's office in Texas. Once she's gone, my understanding is the new incoming Secretary of State is supportive of closed primaries. So you've got the governor, the Attorney General, you've got the incoming Secretary of State, you've got the Republican Party of Texas, all on record saying we should close our primaries. There is nobody out there fighting to keep open primaries except who? Socialist Marxist Democrats and those who call themselves Republicans who are really Democrats. And those who make a buttload of money off of allowing leftists to choose their preferred Republican. And those people are enemies of mankind, are enemies of this country, enemies of this state. We ought not allow socialists and Marxists to be voting in our elections. And, well, the Republican side anyway, in a primary. These are private groups. The Republican Party and the Democrat Party are private groups. The government should not be forcing us to associate with people we don't want to associate with. The Supreme Court has already ruled on this. That's unconstitutional. That's illegal. And those who are pushing open primaries are pushing forced government collusion, forced government association. That's unconstitutional. Those who are open primaries are unconstitutional by definition and should be opposed by every real Texan, every real American. And those who are holding up the Save America Act out of hatred of President Trump, they are anti-American. Mike Lee was on with the Karl Rove Never Trump Network and was talking about the process, the idea that, hey, we just can't, we really want to. Remember John Thune in the same 60-second soundbite said that everybody's on board on the Republican side except we can't get 50 votes. What? How can both be true? You've got 54, air quote, Republican senators, right, folks? He said, everybody's on board except we can't get 50 votes. Which is it, Senator Thune? Which is it? The guy's talking out of both sides of his rear end, folks, because he's lying to you. Everybody get it now? I had a response to Tom Cotton yesterday, folks, that I'm not sure why it blew up on social media. I'll read it to you. But first, Mike Lee, and then we'll get to that probably after the break. But listen to Mike Lee.
The Save America Act.
Yes, there is, Kaylee, and I respectfully but very strongly disagree with my colleague from South Dakota on that. In the first place, the Save America Act, as passed by the House of Representatives, does have a simple majority of support in the United States Senate.
Allegedly.
Now,
allegedly.
We don't have 60 votes. We're about 10 votes shy of achieving cloture. There are other ways of breaking a filibuster that don't involve resort to cloture. You don't actually have to have 60 votes to pass a bill. You just have to have 60 votes to force cloture. But you can break a filibuster through other means. My preferred means, particularly for this bill, the House passed Save America Act, which I believe would work. We put the Save America Act on the floor today. Not the expanded version, the one that actually passed by the House, for which there is a simple majority support in the Senate. You put that on the floor today. If the majority leader were to announce, we're going to debate this until we pass it, we would get to the point of passage.
Now that's key, folks. The leadership required, the stones, the love of country that is required to say, the Save America Act will be in the United States Senate. It will be on the floor, and we are going to debate this until it passes. The amount of love of the United States that would take, the same love that was shown during the debate for the Civil Rights Act, the same love of country, is something Senator John Thune doesn't have. The hatred for this president, the hatred for the 77 million Americans who voted for this president is so deep. The hatred for 84% of this country is so deep for these so-called Republican senators, including dear leader John Thune. The love of this country doesn't factor in. That's why that bill won't be on the floor. I'm going to explore this. I'm going to explore what I said to Tom Cotton yesterday. Another guy who deserves to be bee-slapped. Back in a minute.
Hey Houston, it's Dana Lash from The Dana Show. Join me weekday afternoons 2 to 4 p.m. on The Voice of Texas. We just like to see things. We are a very nosy people. It is in our DNA. My gosh, you guys, we literally founded this country by being nosy, drinking beer, and kicking ass. That is how that's the DNA of America. So we're very nosy because that's who we are. You are listening to the home of The Dana Show, AM 700 KSEV and AM 1540 KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Everyone knows the BBB is the Better Business Bureau, but depending on what you need, it's the Better Plumber Bureau, the Better Auto Mechanic Bureau, the Better Accountant Bureau.
You know, love of country, I want to talk about that for a minute. I was just talking about love of country that John Thune doesn't have. Love of country that Mitch McConnell doesn't have, that John Cornyn doesn't have. If you have ever said to yourself, I love my country, and I don't love foreign enemy countries, I don't love communist countries, then maybe this website is for you. PatriotSwitch.com/storm. What is it? Well, it's the fulfillment of something I've been looking for a long time, folks. I've been looking for ways to buy in, a whole bunch of stuff that is purely American. And that's what PatriotSwitch.com/storm is. Chances are the products that are on PatriotSwitch.com, that they are products you're already buying for your household, cleaning products, nutritional supplements, yummy, tasty food. It's PatriotSwitch.com/storm. You buy there, you buy American. You don't buy from communist China. You don't buy from enemy nations. That's basically it. It is the slogan, hey, we should be buying American in a website. So you go to PatriotSwitch.com/storm, you register. My business manager either texts you or emails you or calls you up and says, hey, let's get you shopping. So she'll walk you through this. An American, folks, an American will actually walk you through this at PatriotSwitch.com/storm. You can abandon all the China-made crap. You can abandon all the foreign-made crap and go with American. Keep our money here. Keep supporting our citizens, our people at PatriotSwitch.com/storm. Together, my friends, we will change this country, moving our buying power to American-made. Only if you folks have the love of country that I've just been talking about. PatriotSwitch.com/storm.
About this program. I can share some information with you right now if you text NEW on your smartphone to 84503. Key that 84503 number in, and then just text NEW. Or better yet, join me this Saturday at 8 a.m. right here on KSEV, the voice of Texas, AM 700. You're not going to want to miss this, especially if you've been solar curious. Text NEW to 84503.
Expanded version, the one that actually passed by the House, for which there is a simple majority support in the Senate. You put that on the floor today. If the majority leader were to announce, we're going to debate this until we pass it, we would get to the point of passage. You can't do this all the time because it would take a lot of time. This is how they passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Boom. Right there. This is how, using the American filibuster, the founding fathers filibuster, how they passed the Civil Rights Act. Now, imagine if dear Leader Thune was in charge during the Civil Rights Act. Imagine that. Imagine Tom Tillis and John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell and Lisa Murkowski were part of the United States Senate, and it was President Trump pushing the Civil Rights Act. Imagine where these shrubs would be. We wouldn't have the Civil Rights Act today, folks, because they hate Trump and they hate the country so much. Right? I would say, folks, that the Civil Rights Act is just as important as the Save America Act is, and vice versa. It takes a love of country, a love of our people that Senator John Thune doesn't have, that Senator John Cornyn doesn't have, that Barrasso and Cotton don't have. That's why they beat up Senator Mike Lee behind the scenes. Stop talking about this. Stop telling America who we really are, how much we hate them.
Can't do this all the time because it would take a lot of time. This is how they passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The time that bill came over in March of that year from the House of Representatives, they were about 30 votes shy of cloture.
Wow. 30 votes shy. Right now, they're 10 votes shy of cloture, folks. Back then, they were 30 votes shy. And there was somebody at the time who had a love of country, you said, we're debating this law until it passes. Nothing else happens. Now, what did Senator Thune say? Well, secure voting, that's not as important as the farm bill. Yeah, we got a highway bill. That's way more important. The American people are clamoring for a highway bill, not free and fair elections. No. That's what John Thune said. Lied to your face. Gaslit the country. You really don't want secure elections, do you? Well, why don't you folks on this program answer John Thune? You don't want free and fair elections, do you? John Thune says you don't want free and fair elections. He's got senators who hate President Trump so much they don't want to give you free and fair elections. So how many of you think that there are so many more important things out there to do other than pass a law that guarantees us 84% of the country free and fair elections?
We're only 10 votes short. But the majority leader at the time, Mike Mansfield from Montana, to his credit, said, you know what, we're 30 votes shy of cloture, but we're going to debate this bill until it passes. And you know what happened? That bill got more popular. Those who were obstructing it got less popular. They started negotiating the terms of their exit ramp. They negotiated changes to the text that made them feel better about it and helped them save face. It ended up passing. That takes legislative courage to do that, and that's what we need in the Senate. We could pass it. Don't fall for the hype that this is undoable.
Yeah. You know what? Legislative courage, I don't even think you need that. I just think you need, air quote, Republicans who love our country more than they hate President Trump. That's what I think. I think that our people have got to be more discerning. You keep sending people up to Capitol Hill who hate you. They hate you. Tom Tillis hates your guts. Cornyn hates your guts. They hate you because you get in the way, you little peasants. You get in the way of them being able to do their deals with Democrats and enrich themselves and their families. That's the bottom line, kids. These shrubs, they want the power, but they want none of the responsibility. Remember what Uncle Ben said. With great power comes great responsibility. These people are children. They want all the power and none of the responsibility. They're children. Tillis, Murkowski, Collins, Cotton, Cornyn, Thune. They're children.
It's only undoable if we choose not to go to the effort. I don't say that about every bill, but I do say that about a bill that enjoys the support of somewhere between 70 and 80% of Americans, Republicans and Democrats alike. This bill needs to pass, and we could do it.
Yeah, they could. They could do it, but they won't. And now we know why. Out of hatred. Hatred of Trump and hatred of you. Now, remember yesterday I told you that President Trump wasn't going to play the game anymore. And I read you his Truth Social post. And I showed you that he was going to withdraw his nominee for the Director of National Intelligence. He was going to leave Acting Director Pulte in there. Just totally tweaking the fake Republicans in the Senate and all socialists. And he was going to withdraw his nominee for U.S. attorney, or not withdraw her. He was going to say him. I mislabeled Jamie as a girl. It's actually a him. It's a dude. Jamie McDonald. Put the U.S. attorney in place first. Get rid of this blue slip nonsense. Put this individual in place as a U.S. attorney. Then we'll get the new DNI in and pass the Save America Act. Else, I'm not renewing your ability to spy on Americans. FISA. By the way, FISA has been abused. It has been abused and weaponized against our people, and there are no fixes. There are zero fixes to the FISA procedure, folks, that John Thune and Tom Tillis and John Cornyn want to cram down our throats. No fixes whatsoever. No protections for our people. Why? We've already established this. Because they hate our people. They hate us. So I told you yesterday that the president told his nominee, Jay Clayton, not to show up for the DNI post. the hearing to be confirmed. Senator Tom Cotton, we're going to go ahead and continue with the hearing because Tom Cotton, opposes President Trump. He's one of these individuals who hates President Trump. After President Trump's nominee, Mr. Clayton, didn't show, here's what Tom Cotton wrote on X. Quote, it's regrettable that the president has directed Jake Clayton not to appear at his confirmation hearing today. Mr. Clayton is a patriot and a highly qualified nominee, as the president has said repeatedly. While today's hearing is now unfortunately postponed, I look forward to proceeding with his confirmation in the near future, says Tom Cotton. Senator Tom Cotton, you see Tom Cotton standing behind Senator Thune all the time. Sometimes he is the one with his hand up Thune's rear end. Most of the time it's John Barrasso, moving the mechanisms to make the puppet speak. I responded to Senator Tom Cotton thusly, and this is what got 66,000 people tweeting and retweeting this morning. Just going out on a limb here. Perhaps he, meaning the president, perhaps he's tired of you fake Republicans and your pro forma sessions of Congress stopping his highly qualified nominees. Perhaps he's tired of you fake Republicans tripping all over yourselves to vote in favor of every left-wing, unqualified Democrat appointee, while you same fake Republicans work hand in glove with Marxists to stop his highly qualified nominees, like crucial U.S. attorneys. Perhaps he's sick of the Senate GOP's efforts to lose the next election by denying 84% of the country a lawful and much-needed law to safeguard our elections. The Save America Act. Again, just speculating here. And people found that, folks, and it's kind of blowing up. More than doubling our reach on X at this point. Because I think the American people don't believe these fake Republican senators anymore. We don't believe you. Why? Because of the results. Because of what you're producing, which is nothing for our people's benefit. And now we know why. Because you hate us and you hate our president. Hour 2, next.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball and AM 1540 KGBC Galveston.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm X. Thomason. We're never going to let them have a nuclear weapon, the words of President Trump, talking about the memorandum of understanding that he and Iran's president have signed. Mr. Trump denounces as fools those who criticize the agreement. That would include Democrats as well as some Republicans. More from correspondent Andrew Stewart.
The initial agreement calls for Iran to dilute its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. The accord would also waive sanctions on that country, immediately permitting Iran to sell its oil freely. That's what U.S. officials say. Those officials read the language of the memorandum on ending the war to journalists on Wednesday.
And this is just the start. Now there will be talks aimed at reaching a permanent deal with Iran. In the meantime, President Trump says that if the Iranians do not honor terms of the agreement, bombs will fall once again. War Secretary Hegseth says it's about time for the European allies to take more responsibility for their own defense. This is Hegseth, who's currently in Brussels, advocates for a newer, fairer NATO alliance. He's calling it NATO 3.0.
NATO 3.0 is post-Cold War recognition that it needs to go back to a real hardline military alliance that has real military capabilities capable of deterring right here on the continent and taking the lead for the conventional defense of Europe, which you have led on and other nations are stepping up to do.
For the first time since March, gas prices now average under $4 a gallon. AAA's national average for regular, $3.99 a gallon. That's down a couple of cents from yesterday. It's down about 50 cents from a month ago. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures 248 points higher. NASDAQ futures are up almost 500 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
AmericanStandardsTV.com.
About a month ago, I told you about the amazing new documentary, The Story of Everything. In over 600 theaters for several weeks, it had tremendous success. Now you can watch it from the comfort of your own home through exclusive streaming access. For decades, we've been told we're here by accident. Life is a total fluke. But what if the actual science tells a very different story? Yes, The Story of Everything is a film that Hollywood would never greenlight, that atheists and the mainstream media would rather you didn't see, because it explores the staggering math of intelligent design. For life to exist, the probability of creation being an accident totally disappears. The evidence points to a designer and challenges evolution with hard science and undeniable logic. And now it's available to you through streaming with discounted pricing options, so you can easily watch it at home or share it with friends. Giving scientific truth a platform, all you have to do is go to thestoryofeverything.film/Mike. Thestoryofeverything.film/Mike. Go to thestoryofeverything.film/Mike.
Hi, this is Michael Miller. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program, now at our new time, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., right here on AM 700 KSEV, The Voice.
This True Sand commentary is brought to you by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals. Call 281-441-4179.
From KSEV, here's political contributor Ben Strusand.
For 47 years, the Islamic leaders running Iran have waged war against the United States and its allies, killing Americans, taking hostages, and attempting assassinations of American leaders. After losing a 12-day war with Israel, the Iranian regime was reconstituting its ballistic missile and drone forces, adding around 100 a month, and moving its highly enriched uranium from sites destroyed by the U.S. to safer areas in order to continue their nuclear weapons program. The Trump administration attempted to negotiate a deal offering to provide free enriched uranium for peaceful energy use, but the Iranians refused to give up their centrifuges or their ballistic missiles. They had no intention of changing course. As in the past, the Iranian strategy was to drag out the negotiations until someone not named Trump was in charge, and who can blame them? Other presidents issued warnings and drew red lines, but Trump, rather than waiting for the regime to rebuild its forces, decided to act again. Democrats and their media allies are asking, why now? What justifies a U.S. attack? They are right to claim that the threat was not imminent, but it was constant. Trump, believing that the regime was weakened by the war with Israel and facing an uprising domestically, felt the timing was right and decided to decapitate their leadership and eliminate the threat. Unquestionably, the regime is entrenched. They have millions of followers and they have nowhere to go. Removing all of them may be impossible. Nevertheless, a government run by homicidal maniacs seeking martyrdom in the name of Allah just can't be allowed to gain the tools necessary to implement their vision. Whether we do it now or later makes no difference. It must be done. Both the Democrats and Tucker Carlson are wrong. This is not a forever war. This is not a war of choice. It is a war of no choice. Comparisons to Iraq are dishonest, meant to scare stupid people, because despite the 47-year history of evidence, beginning with the hostages taken at our embassy, stupid people still think that this regime can be appeased or deterred or negotiated with. They fail to understand the character of the clerics in charge. When they chant death to America, they really mean it. No one should shed a tear about their elimination. So please, we know you hate Trump, but stop rooting for the other side. I'm Ben Strusand, and that's my view.
Ben Strusand, only on AM 700 KSEV.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts. Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend for over 40 years. gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs. So don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree prune. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Get ready for the next generation of talk radio. It's time for politics, pop culture, and proud pro-American conservatism. Strap yourselves in, grab a coffee. It's time for the Chris Salcedo Show on the Voice of Texas.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
So many times it happens too fast. You trade your passion for glory. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive.
It's the Chris Salcedo Show, Hour 2. Folks, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to visit with the California Post's Joel Pollak. Those of you who know, been reading conservative-leaning or fair press media know about Joel. He was with Breitbart for many, many moons, and now he's with the California Post. It's the sister paper to the New York Post. So it's same folks, but on each coast. So he's coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll be talking about issues of the day. As I was coming on, first off, I wanted to, Russell, when you and I visited, I don't think I've ever seen you with facial hair. Now, do you not grow like a beard or a mustache out of preference or because you can't? I never asked. Is it?
I don't like how it feels.
Right. So, but you can. You can let it, if you let it go.
I
you
can let it go, yeah, but
yeah.
I don't like it. I'll let it go to a certain point, and then I just can't stand it anymore, and I got to shave it.
Yeah, and I'm getting to that point, folks. For those of you on radio, I have. I'm not even sure what the hell you call this look. It's a goatee with a mustache combo frame. I guess they call it a frame or something like that. I don't know. So anyway, I thought I'd try this out, and what I am finding is that it takes more maintenance to keep this looking groomed than it did if I just shaved, right? So I'm going to be making some decisions on this. And every once in a while, and maybe guys, if you have any tips that do wear beards, the hair that grows in the corners of the mouth right here, and just, it's kind of irritating. It's kind of irritating. Even though you try to trim and do the best, I'm spending a lot more time than I want to on this. This was supposed to be lower maintenance, now that I'm not on network television anymore, and I could look how I want to look. Yes, that's a thing, folks. When you sign on the network TV, you've got to meet their standards of how they want you to look. It's just part and parcel of the gig. It's sad. And unless you get it written into your contract going in, which is something you rarely even think about. I remember coming back from a couple of vacations saying, hey, I really got this interesting beard going on. I'd like to keep it. And they said, no. Okay, whatever. Shave it off. So I don't know. I'm going to see what I'm going to do with this. So that was one thing that I was thinking about this morning. Also, the trailers for Spider-Man, brand new day. They look good. They look good. And I wanted to just briefly touch base on box office. Mandalorian and Grogu, Russell, sadly, even though it was a good movie, not great, but good, it's not going to make budget. It's not going to break even. It's going to be a loss for Disney. Supergirl is going to be a massive, huge loss, because it's all woke BS. So it's going to be, and it's going to be a huge, massive loss. The actress is woke and got out there and did something stupid. So that's what woke is, stupid. And then I don't know what you folks have been hearing, and I'm going to go see it because I was among the people thinking He-Man, Masters of the Universe was going to be completely a waste of time. It was going to be campy. And for those of you who are Gen Xers, you grew up with Filmation's He-Man. You grew up with it. So what it's turning out to be, once the reviews are coming in, they're saying, number one, it's actually a good movie. Number two, it's really heavy on the nostalgia. So all you Gen Xers out there who grew up with He-Man, you're going to like it. So I'm like, okay. So it's actually a well-made movie. It's not campy. I'm going to go see it. They say it's the sleeper blockbuster of the season. And that's what's leading up to Spider-Man July. They dropped the news trailer yesterday or day before last. July 31st, I believe, is the release date for Spider-Man, which it looks phenomenal. And it's part of this whole trying to get back to basics in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which they were doing great things. They capped off at Avengers, the last of the Avengers saga, and then I think they're going to go back to that and start adding new characters to continue that arc. So we'll see. We'll see what all happens with that. But that's what I'm looking for anyway. The sci-fi buff that I am for the upcoming summer holiday type viewing at the movies. They'll make me want to even go to the movies. I think The Punisher is going to be featured prominently in Spider-Man. I look forward to seeing what they do with that. Telephone number is 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Yes, The Punisher, the United States Senate. The United States Senate is punishing Americans for your voting for President Trump and not saying to them, hey, Leader Thune, whatever you say goes. Americans, I don't know how you guys feel about voting integrity. I've been trying all morning long, and nobody wants to call in talking about elections. And so maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe, well, what the hell was that? Oh, did I already talk too much? Russell, are we going to break right now? Really? That early? Okay, I guess we are.
It's 15 after.
Not my
14 after. It's close enough. Music will play by the time we get there.
Okay.
The guest at the bottom of the hour. Do you want to have a little more time with your guest, or you want me to eliminate?
No, it's all right. I just got a text from my guest, so I'm a little leery about that. Maybe he might not be able to make it. I'm not sure. I just barely read it. Look, folks, let me just ask you, you keep the music up, Russell. Let me just ask you, is John Thune right that the Salcedo Show audience, nobody in America cares about election integrity? You guys, you're like, oh yeah, 2020, the only time you cared about election integrity was the stolen 2020 election, right? And so after that, it doesn't matter anymore. Is that true? Maybe Tom Tillis and John Cornyn has it right, that the American people don't care about free and fair elections, having your vote count. Maybe they're right. You guys tell me. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. You found the Chris Salcedo Show, your daily excursion into critical thinking on the voice of Texas.
If you're looking for the best generator when it comes to powering your home when in need, then join Jim Cloud for the Checker Pro A&A Gen Pro Show every Thursday at 1 p.m. here on AM 700 KSEV and AM 1540 KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company.
Yes, I'm on to my second cup, my traditional second cup, Hunter's Blend Coffee, folks. That is the official coffee sponsor of the Chris Salcedo Show. And why? Why did I do that? Not every product that we advertise here on the Chris Salcedo Show is a title sponsor, folks. Why do we do that with Hunter's Blend? Well, when I tried Hunter's Blend, I got to be honest, I didn't have high expectations. I've been drinking coffee for years. I know you guys have been drinking coffee for years. So I'm like, yeah, coffee's good for a pick me up in the morning. And I really didn't give much thought to it. That is until I had the taste experience. That's what it is. It's an experience of Hunter's Blend coffee. Once I tried it, I said, whoa. And you'll say, whoa. And this is more than just a bunch of guys saying, hey, I'm going to start a coffee company. These guys are crafting coffee, much the way wine vintners create wines. They are crafting this coffee, folks, with great taste, high quality original product, meaning the coffee bean, sourced from the top 6% of all coffee that's out there to produce Hunter's Blend. And then the company itself, run by guys who believe in the Second Amendment, who believe in the sanctity of life, good Christian individuals. So I was like, man, this is the perfect storm, if you'll pardon the pun. Perfect storm. I'm making you guys the official coffee sponsor of the Chris Salcedo Show, the morning show. HuntersBlendCoffee.com/storm. That's HuntersBlendCoffee.com/storm. Promo code is STORM. You get 10% off your first order. 10% off that first order, folks. Use the promo code STORM. HuntersBlendCoffee.com/storm.
To ice cold canned cocktails, Specs has the ingredients for your perfect summer hang. With the largest selection and the lowest prices, Specs makes your summer cooler. Go full vacation mode with Specs, wine, spirits, and finer foods. The fun starts here.
All right, folks, I'm being informed by our guest at the bottom of the hour. He may or may not make it. So trust me, we will go over what we were going to go over with Joel Pollack, even if he's not here. I'll get you some of the stories that he's part of this new expansion of the New York Post called the California Post. I'm not sure. It's not getting a lot of traction. I hadn't heard much about it. I'm not sure how new it is, but I know it's an expansion. And so he's away from Breitbart. He got hired away and is working for the California Post, which is, again, the sister paper to the New York Post. And there are some issues in California surrounding this last election. And I was very curious to see how the primary election, the rigging that happened in the primary election, how that was impacting California. Do you think they care out there about elections? I don't know how much Americans care anymore. And maybe Thune and John Cornyn, maybe they're right. Maybe you Americans see, I get upset about this. I get passionate about this. I've not given up. I believe in a government of, by, and for the people. But maybe you folks are like, you know what? If our overseers in Washington say that they should be able to elect themselves and it doesn't matter who we choose, then maybe it's up to them to dictate, to rule over the country. Maybe you guys are there. 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Maybe it's me who's wrong. Maybe you guys want rigged elections for the deep state. Maybe you don't. Call me up and let me know. Let me go to Martha first. Martha, welcome to the Salcedo Show. What do you say about all this?
Hello. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Hello. Okay. I don't want rigged elections. I want it safe for all the American people. It's not fair that every other country gets fair elections and we can't. That's not fair.
It isn't.
I did call Cruz and I said, either I want you to put your voice out there and tell Thune he needs to pass this. He needs to put it on the floor.
Yeah, well, at least, no, I understand why you didn't call Cornyn, because Cornyn is a left-winger, and left-wingers don't listen to their constituents, right? And hence...
No, they don't.
Yeah, this is why John Cornyn got voted out, because he doesn't listen to us in the state of Texas. So you're telling me that I'm not wrong here, that you actually are an American who believes in free and fair elections, and you are demanding that our elected officials listen to us and provide that.
Correct, because we are the people who run the government, not them.
Now, why do you think so many, let me just ask your opinion, because you probably talk to your friends and your family. How many of your friends and family, and because I'm talking about the audience this morning, the audience doesn't seem at all interested in election integrity here at all, not at all. And so you're the first one to call in and say, yeah, I think election integrity is important. Why do you think so many don't give a crap anymore? Why do you think that is?
Because they all been brainwashed.
Really?
I really think that. Yes.
Wow.
They believe they're elected officials, and they should not. They should not trust them.
You know what Reagan called
They
that,
need-
Martha? Reagan called
What?
that trust me government. And it's trust us. We know what we're doing. And well, you know, for a lot of years, Martha, didn't we do that? I'm guilty. We trusted.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah, we trusted those individuals to have America's best interest at heart. And what did they do? They rang up $40 trillion in debt. They opened up the borders. They flooded the country with criminal illegal aliens. They flooded our streets with crime. They, among other things, led our nation's capital to be a dilapidated armpit where everything was broken, nothing was being adhered to. They grew the federal establishment to a point to where they couldn't administer it. We let them to their own devices, and what did they do? They raped the country 3 ways from Sunday.
Yeah, and they're still doing it.
Yeah. So, what's your message to those who are listening to the radio this morning and they're like, elections, some elections. I don't care about that. America's done. America's toast. Just don't even bother, because we get these people on X who say that if you vote, you're a dupe. You're the one who's being duped. These are the people pushing violent revolution. What do you say to people who don't care about the sanctity of our elections?
Well, if they don't care about the sanctity of our elections or don't even care about America, they need to leave and go to a different country and find out how they really would exist there. Because they would not survive. They'd be coming back. Look at Rosie O'Donnell's coming back.
Is she really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I felt the collective IQ of America going down. That's Rosie. Yeah, I'm not a Rosie watcher, but she's coming back. You know what, Martha? There's a bunch of videos out there of people visiting for the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup. By the way,
they love America.
Yeah, I called up the White House and I said, "Hey guys, would like to talk to somebody about issues of the day," and they offered me Andrew Giuliani, who's a great guy. And he was supposed to come on today and talk about FIFA and the World Cup and America's 250th birthday. And then they canceled me in the last minute. So thanks a lot, White House. But anyway, but we were going to talk about that. All these people coming from all over the world, coming here to America, and they're posting these videos saying, America's an amazing country. And, you know, I think it's why I despise John Thune and John Cornyn so much. They're willing to...
Me too.
To whiz it all away out of devotion to socialists.
Yeah. See, the socialists want to rule over us.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I cannot handle that.
Well, you know what? I'm glad there's at least one member of the Chris Salcedo Show audience who cares. Martha, thank you very much. I appreciate the call. Telephone number is 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Like I said, folks, maybe Thune and company, they have it right. Maybe stopping the Save America Act out of hatred of Trump, maybe you guys are on board with it. Maybe you guys are like, yeah, you know what? Elections are meaningless. Folks, I get these people on social media all the time saying that I'm a dupe. I'm the dummy for voting. That you're allowing yourself to be a part of a corrupt system. But see, I think the corruption is the perversion of the vote. I think the corruption is, hey, we're going to rig elections so that we never have to face the ire of the voters, which is what John Cornyn is all about, which is what John Thune is all about. Remember, folks, if the Democrats can continue to cheat on the trajectory they're on, if California becomes America, then John Cornyn doesn't get voted out. He stays in power in perpetuity. Little dictators. And a lot of them like the sound of that because folks, this is a very human thing. They're the heroes of their own story. right? I'm a good guy. I'm not like that Chris Salcedo. I'm not like all of those shrubs who listen to his show. I know what's best, says every tone-deaf dictator throughout American history and throughout world history, right? This is what they do. This is who they are. And maybe you guys think I'm fighting an uphill battle. I don't want to surrender to those people. I want to fight those people because I don't want to surrender my family to those people. And there are some who do. And there are some who will. And I'm just wondering where this audience is. Telephone number is 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. I played this yesterday. Well, I got more calls coming in. Hold on a second. Dolores is in North Carolina. Let me go to her first. Dolores, welcome to the Salcedo Show. What do you say?
Yeah. So what would you like? Well, I think Congress doesn't care about elections. You want my honest opinion? Matter of fact, I know they don't care about elections.
Well, your senator, Tom Tillis, is one of these cats who hates America so much, he won't vote for the Save America Act.
Yeah, but I know you're talking about election lady. Or politics. I know about everything there is about voting, including the data. Okay, nobody says the word. I wrote you about the data.
Yeah.
Nobody says a word about the data. Okay, data exists. Why can't we use data to double check elections?
We should be able to have, the American people should have at their disposal data. Now, I'm not talking about computerized data, Dolores. I'm talking about a receipt. Now, I have been, long before the 2020 election, I have been an opponent of the machine balloting, the machines. I have been in favor of having data in our hands, meaning a receipt of how we voted, a verifiable paper ballot that we know and we can verify our vote was tabulated properly. That's what I've been in favor of, right? Now, I have never trusted these machines, and I still don't trust these machines. And I believe that it is incumbent on every state to really clamp down on these things. But yes, you're absolutely right about the data. What I'm talking about when it particularly pertains to the Save America Act, don't you think we ought to be able, in an era where Eric Holder gets his ballot offered to a perfect stranger, that we ought to have voter ID requirements? In an era where Democrats are actively saying they want to have foreign nationals voting, and actually foreign nationals are voting in American elections right now, as we speak, we should put a stop to that. Don't you think?
Oh yeah. We should have had that, 25 years, 30 years ago.
30 years ago, exactly. And the reason why we don't is because of your Senator Tom Tillis, because of my Senator John Cornyn, because of individuals who are unwilling to love this country more than they hate us and hate our president. Full stop. Telephone number is 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. I'm not sure if I have a guest or not coming up, folks. We'll see on the Voice of Texas.
Guest or no guest?
I don't know yet. Let me check.
Tune in to the Ray Massey Reverse Mortgage Show each Friday at 1 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. with Treybo Mortgage. Or call Ray directly at 855-266-1600 or online at reversemortgages4Texans.com.
Another Texas summer is upon us. Is this the year you make the move to cool, efficient, and energy-saving home comfort? Hi, this is Dan Patrick. Let me ask you once again, why do you want to be hot and uncomfortable in your home? Discover what reliable home comfort can do for you and your family. Discover American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. I've been talking about American Standard Air for decades, along with my friend Nolan Ryan. We both know how great American Standard is in our homes. It should be in yours too. It's performance you want.
Yeah,
during
he
a
had to
hot
cancel.
Texas
He had
winter. We're
something
already
unexpectedly
spending
come
more
up,
and more
buddy.
time in our homes these days. Cool and as inviting as you can. You'll be more productive, and your kids will be happier. And that means you'll be happier. So go to AmericanStandardAir.com today and find your nearest independent dealer. You have my word. It will be time well spent. So let me ask you again, why be hot and sticky? Have comfort the way you like it. AmericanStandardAir.com. That's AmericanStandardAir.
Well, kids, I got to tell you, our friends at Patriot Mobile, and I mean yours and mine, Patriot Mobile is a company dedicated to the values you and I support. Faith, family, freedom, basically. Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative mobile phone provider. You dial them up at 972-PATRIOT, or you go to patriotmobile.com/storm. Use my promo code STORM. You're going to get your first month free. By the way, the people you talk to over at Patriot Mobile, they're Americans. They're Texans. And they will help you switch from your woke cell phone company to America's only Christian conservative mobile phone provider with access to 3 networks to get you the best coverage possible. Call them 972-PATRIOT, patriotmobile.com/storm, promo code STORM. You get a free month. Every dollar you spend is a vote for your values, folks, with Patriot Mobile. All right, folks, welcome back. I want more of you folks to get on the horn and tell me about how much you think elections are good. How much you think free and fair elections are good and necessary in this country. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you're a Democrat. Maybe you're one of these fake Republicans who says, rigging elections to allow the smart people, like Tom Tillis, the smart people like Lisa Murkowski be in charge of your lives. Maybe you've all surrendered and say, like the Democrats have, saying, this whole representative republic thing, this whole government of, by, and for the people, it's for the birds. Let's go to a dictatorship. Maybe you guys are in that camp. And like I said, folks, if I'm going to allow Democrats to come on the show and discuss, I'll allow you Republicans who have surrendered too to tell me why. We've got, as I've said, people that follow the Chris Salcedo show on social media who say that if you participate in elections, you're just a dupe. You're just an idiot. You're just a moron. Now some of these people say you're just, by doing so, you're partaking in the system. And the system is crooked. And it was designed, they say, the U.S. Constitution is crooked. I don't believe that, but that's what they say. And then others say that the system is rigged, and by your participation, you're giving legitimacy to a rigged system. To which I say, well, it's not supposed to be. When the system isn't rigged, it works quite well. Remember, the American Constitution was made for a moral and just people. It's not suited for any other. And can we say that Tom Tillis and John Cornyn and Dear Leader Thune and Tom Cotton are moral people? Can we say that legitimately? No, I don't think so. So guys, tell me where you are. Because, like Scott Pressler, like Senator Lee, like Senator Rand Paul, like Representative Luna, like so many others who aren't going on record right now, who say they support off media, the Save America Act. I'm not giving up on this. But, I do the show not just for an advocacy. I do the show for the audience. And if you guys say, Chris, we're tired of hearing about the Save America Act, we don't care about elections anymore, then maybe I got to recalculate here. Right? I do the show for the audience. So, because if the audience says, we just want it rigged, we just want to be told what to do, cradle to grave, whatever, that we just want to be told what to do. Tell me about it. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. Our friend Joel Pollack couldn't make it, folks. And here's what I was going to ask him about. The nation was absolutely horrified to learn of the legalized cheating in California's primary elections. Post-dating ballots legally, really? Is there any fallout? I was curious to find, is there any fallout in California? Because I haven't heard much, because the biased press will suppress that. Was there any fallout over what we saw, in particular in Los Angeles? I also wanted to talk with him about the San Francisco Giants. Did you guys know that the pitchers, Russell, and maybe you've seen an article on this, maybe you can add to this.
Yeah, they put Bible verses on their hats.
Right, exactly. But and then the league clamped down on that, on this divisive pride night that the league was putting on, the San Francisco Giants franchise was putting on. And then when the players wrote a Bible passage, the league said, "How dare you put a Bible passage on your cap?" You know that and now there's blowback from the players. Do you know where we sit with this?
At this time, I don't. I haven't followed it super closely.
Yeah, I know it infuriates you that this is a story, it's a thing, but you can thank the San Francisco Giants, you can thank Major League Baseball. So, since it's the California Post is where Joel Pollack works, folks, I was just curious because I know that the Post was writing about this and wanted to see what the latest was, because my understanding is the players were like, are we a free country or not? If you're going to shove the divisive pride night down our throats, why can't we also declare our support for God Almighty and the Bible? So I wanted to see where that was. And I said, and this was the exact phraseology of the question I had queued up for Joel. It seems the GOP in the U.S. Senate has dropped all the pretense. They are all in on hating Trump, hating the America First agenda, hating those 77 million Americans who voted for that agenda. And then all in on opposing 84% of the country. And I was going to talk to him about Jay Clayton the president standing him down, not showing up for this hearing, and then Tom Cotton going ahead with the hearing anyway in pure opposition. There's no way they would look at this. Pure opposition to President Trump. And then what that signaled to him. And then I was going to read to him my response to Tom Cotton that is now burning up X, that is now blasting out. People are pissed at Tom Cotton. Folks, you go to my Salcedo Show page, at C Salcedo Show on X, you're going to see the ratio my response, there's plenty of people piling on to Tom Cotton. I would expect that. But you click down to Tom Cotton's post and then you go under his post. None of the people that follow Tom Cotton, none of his voters, very few people are showing support for Senator Tom Cotton and Senate Republicans who are now going to war with President Trump, going to war with 77 million Americans, going to war with 84% of the American voters who want the Save America Act. So that's what they call in the vernacular, folks, getting ratioed. And Tom Cotton is getting heavily ratioed. Why? Because he's prioritizing Marxists and socialists over his own voters. He is abandoning, as apparently my audience is abandoning free and fair elections. 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. And the last thing I wanted to talk about with Joe Pollack was John Thune. He's out there, he's just lying. He's simply lying to the American people about what the Senate could do to pass the Save America Act. It is not only possible, as Senator Mike Lee outlined, but probable if you look at American history and the use of the American filibuster, the traditional founding fathers filibuster. The truth is, folks, Senator Thune, because of the fake Republicans he's protecting, they hate Trump so much, they do not want to pass the Save America Act, willing to screw all of you over. I mean, at least that should be enough to get you guys a little upset, right? To get you guys the fact that your so-called senators and representatives would be willing to screw you over out of hatred for one man. I mean, doesn't that tick you off just at least a little bit? 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. One of the perks at being at the Texas convention, folks, the GOP convention, was bumping into this guy. Pastor Melvin came up. First time, we've been talking to each other for years. First time we met in person, got to shake his hand. Pastor, welcome. Glad you made it. What do you have to say about all this?
Well, Chris, you know, our senators, Cotton, Cornyn, Thune, and all of the rest, they seem as if they are some form of godly lords. They are seeking, you know, to be viewed as being so powerful and mighty. But in my view, maybe we need to do something that's different from the way we've been doing. I never thought I would believe this or think about this, and much less say it. But, you know, maybe we need to borrow from Saul Alinsky's playbook and Rules for Radicals, and we need to get in their face when they're out in public and do like the radical liberals do our politicians. I can remember how they mistreated Sarah Huckabee at a restaurant. They forced her to, and her family, to leave the restaurant, and the restaurant itself told them don't come back.
I remember. Pastor, hold on a minute. I understand the temptation. I really do. I understand that. But what I'm saying to Americans is we don't need to be Marxists. We don't need to be violent leftists. We need to replicate what Texas did to John Cornyn all over this country. We need to replicate it. We need to start telling truth. We need to start calling up our representatives and saying, look, it's not enough for you just to do a vote on the Save America Act. You need to push for it. That's what I elected you to do. You need to call out those who you know are sacrificing the United States because they hate Trump. You need to lead. You're being a politician right now, Mr. and Mrs. House of Representative person. You are, as a senator, you are not representing me. So you need to get up off your ass and you need to start representing me. If you don't, I will personally lead the coalition that unseats you. Do you see what happened to John Cornyn? That Bill Cassidy, to Tom Tillis? That's coming your way. That's the message. That's American. That's not socialist and communist. Telling our Pastor, you said, you know, we've been treating these individuals like royalty. And we got to stop doing that. There's a reason why John Cornyn thinks himself to be a little dictator. It's because we've treated him that way all of these years. The little dictator. That's why John Thune, they walk around with the imprimatur standing on the shoulders of past representatives who actually represented their constituents, and they claim to be senators and Republicans worthy of dignity, worthy of the imprimatur of respect, and they've done not a damn thing to earn that respect. Not a damn thing. And
they work for us.
Yes.
They work for us.
Yes.
And that's the important thing that they have failed to recognize or realize anymore. And so we need to put more pressure on them. I heard a lady just in this today's show that she called Ted Cruz. I love Ted Cruz. However, he needs to get off his behind also and put pressure on the Republican Party Senate leadership to get this bill passed.
Imagine what that would do for anybody's run for president. You know, imagine if you were the one leading the way to safeguard America's elections. 84% of the country would say, wow, look at that leader. You know what? We have got to start. Respect is earned. And there is nothing these Senate Republicans are doing that demands respect of the American people. They have not earned our respect. And we ought to treat them that way. They're not gods. They're not. They're not even representatives. They're not even statesmen. They don't deserve that respect. Pastor, I believe that your call was wonderful. Thank you. And it's great to meet you at the Republican convention. Telephone number is 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. What do elections mean to you, folks? I think it's fair to ask. The President of the United States is serving us. And out of hatred of the President of the United States, some GOP senators are stabbing us in the back. And isn't it a travesty? We don't know their names. Their names are being withheld so they can continue to con the voters. That's not what America is, folks. They need to be exposed, and they need to be brought to heel because they're out of control. They're out of control. Back in a minute. Chris Salcedo Show on the Voice of Texas.
All right, American Medical. Looking to save on energy costs? Then tune in Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. for the SolarWise Radio Show with your host, Sean Davis. That's the SolarWise Radio Show, 8 a.m. Saturday on AM 700 KSEV and AM 1540 KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Folks, I have a series of questions for you. It's surrounding another time when certain Republicans failed us. Are you taking a hard pass on getting health insurance because the Democrats were allowed to make health insurance unaffordable for every American? Are you limited to what doctors and hospitals you can go to because the Republicans allowed the Democrats to totally screw you over? Are you paying for a bunch of services you don't need or want because Republicans allowed the Democrats to stick government's big nose into your medical business to get between you and your doctor? Well, these are real and impactful questions, folks, and there's only one good answer. American Medical Plans. If you're in reasonably good health, Scott Ferguson and American Medical Plans can save you 30 to 60% over bastardized health insurance, and you get to choose the doctors you want to go to. You get a superior policy to boot. My buddy Scott Ferguson and American Medical Plans, he's kind of like having your own personal HR department at your beck and call, folks, not at the beck and call of your woke company. So take it from me, your liberty-loving Latino, you still, even though it takes a lot of doing, folks, you still can get quality health insurance at affordable prices by calling American Medical Plans. 833-500-PLAN. That's 833-500-7526. Or better yet, just head on over to AmericanMedicalPlans.com. That's AmericanMedicalPlans.com. They are the answer to the cancer to socialist Obamacare.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. At O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe in God, family, and country. In the past 50 years, people have been trying to remove all three of those from our thinking. Fight for what you believe in and protect your freedoms before they're all taken away. Don't let anyone infringe on your rights. If you need a real estate company, call O'Hara & Company Real Estate, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Tune in each Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for On the Money with your host and CEO of Allied Wealth Texas, Ryan Wheelis, who can help you live your richest life possible during your retirement years. That's each Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV.
Welcome back, kids. Let me get back out of the phones. Telephone number is 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. We go to New York, where James is calling. And James, welcome to the Salcedo Show. What say you?
Hey, Chris, how are you? Good morning. I'm calling from the People's Republic of New York. And,
yeah.
I'm basically, I'm calling in based on what you were asking before, like what kind of government do we want? And people need to get involved. People shouldn't be giving up. Our system isn't perfect, but it's the best one that's out there. If you're worried about elections, we need to be also more active. We need to be demanding for these IDs.
Well, wait a minute. Are you? Well, let me just ask about you, James. Are you worried after what you saw in California, after what you saw in 2020? Are you worried about safe and secure elections?
Absolutely. I mean, look at New York City. I mean, I work in New York City also. I live out on Long Island, but I work there. And look what happened in New York City. They have the same type of election that they did in California. And look what we have. We have Mondani now, right? We have a socialist running the city of New York.
Yeah, a communist. You got a full-blown commie running New York. Yeah, it sucks. So I'm glad to hear that. You also wanted to talk about Major League Baseball, too.
I do, yes. So, with these guys that are standing up for their religious rights, and I'm right there with them. Baseball lost me when they started doing the LGBT stuff and started having those transvestites coming to, I think it was LA. That was it for me. I stopped. But these guys who are writing the Bible verses on their hats, in protest. I fully support them, and I think all the fans should say, hey, contact MLB and say, hey, listen, we're done, and we're not watching you anymore. We're not supporting you. We're not supporting your sponsor.
Well, James, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you heard of Major League Baseball having a Pride heterosexual night? They don't. Celebrating the nuclear family. When do they have a celebrating the nuclear family night at Major League Baseball?
I'll go even further, Chris. This is the sacred. I'm Catholic, and I know this is the Sacred Heart of Jesus. The whole month, right? And I believe that Pride Month was picked on purpose,
a specific reason,
as a rebuttal to the Sacred Heart of Jesus.
Yes.
And this is disgusting what they're doing. And I think people, Catholics, Protestants, whatever your denomination is, I think you should be calling up the MLB and saying,
well, hold on a minute. I'm going someplace with this, James. When was the last time they had Holy Bible Night at the ballpark?
They don't.
When was the last time
they had? Never heard of it.
When was the last time they had the Torah night at the ballpark?
They don't.
Now to be fair, when was the last time you heard about Quran night at the ballpark?
No, they don't.
They don't.
Never.
See, and I'm going someplace with this, James, because when you start doing these kinds of things like, hey, let's have Pride Night, let's have Woke Night, let's have all of these special interest nights, then it never stops. It never stops. And then pretty soon you become synonymous with pride or whatever the left-wing butthurt movement is at the moment. And then you cease being about baseball, which is the game of baseball. What I would suggest to Major League Baseball is, why don't you just have every flipping game be American night? Why don't you just have every game? Don't get into this nonsense. Why don't you just play the damn game of baseball and shut the blank up about everything else? Why don't you just do that?
From your mouth to God's ears. I agree with you 100%. I mean, it used to be nice to just put on a game or go to a game with your friends, and it could be
and forget this
BS. Unplug from politics, from religion, from everything.
Thank you.
Just watch a game together as Americans, and not subdivide us into these little categories.
Yeah, thank you. Why not just be about baseball? Why don't you do what you do best, baseball, and stay the hell out of politics? Because people go to your games to escape this garbage. Escape what's going on Capitol Hill as they're working actively now to screw over the entire country. It's absolute nonsense. And folks, it goes right back to you. James, thank you for the call from New York. Folks, it goes right back to you. Just like our political discussion and the vote goes right back to you, this stuff in the private sector, this stuff in the culture, it goes right back to you. If Major League Baseball lost its shirt over its stupidity to get involved in politics, in this particular case, left-wing politics, then they'd stop. But our people don't care enough. I mean, aren't you sick and tired of having everybody? I'm talking conservative, liberal, socialist, Marxist, freedom lovers, everybody's politics crammed down your throat. Now you come to this show because you make a conscious decision. You know what you're going to get on this show. You're going to get information. You're going to get my opinion on this information. You're going to get informed, and then you're going to be able to express your opinion on the information, right? That's what there's an expectation. That's why you come to the Chris Salcedo show. You go to a baseball game for what? To watch flipping baseball. And maybe to unite with your Democrat socialist friend over the game of baseball. Right? When will we as a people take a stand against this garbage? You get, folks, it's politics, it's the pop culture, it's the private market. You get what you deserve. And so long as you are permissive as to look at what happened to Target. Look at what happened to Budweiser. Look at what happened to all these people that went woke. But for some reason, Major League Sports gets to go woke without any consequences. 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. We go to April. April, welcome to the Salcedo Show. Does the vote matter to you, madam?
Very much. I want elections that are free and fair. And what state does John Thune represent? And
South
is
Dakota.
that state's primary already over with?
Well, yes, he's not up for...
And if it isn't, then are there any better Republicans that are better than John Thune so that
Yes.
he can be voted out?
Yes. He's from South Dakota. He's up for re-election in 2028. And Scott Pressler and I and many other people are committed to making sure he doesn't get another term. We want to John Cornyn John Thune. Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, so the primary is it doesn't involve the next election.
No, it does not. He won't be up for re-election until the 2028 cycle.
Oh.
Remember, senators stand for election every 6 years.
Oh.
Yes.
Well,
Now,
but it's too late. We can't do anything for this election then for him.
No, we can't. I think Tom Cotton, though, is up now. I think the people of Arkansas really ought to have a look-see.
Okay, the thing that I thought wasn't too late though is to get him to resign from majority leader, and then he won't have that much control over the Senate anymore.
Now, why would he do that?
Well, I mean, we need to put pressure on Congress somehow. What can the rest of us do that don't live in South Dakota to get him to get out of there?
Well, I mean, you could call up. Now, let me just give you an example of. I have a senator by the name of John Cornyn, who lost his primary. Right?
Yeah.
Are you a Texan?
Yes.
You do too. Okay. So we could call John Cornyn's office saying we want you to put pressure on John Thune to pass the Save America Act. But guess what? We were saying that through his entire primary, and John Cornyn was so wedded, so hateful of President Trump, and so wedded just to allowing the Democrats to cheat. He was willing to lose his primary to stop the Save America Act. So John Cornyn's not going to listen to you and me. So we'll have to call Ted Cruz's office. But here's what I want to leave you with, April. If Senator Thune wasn't doing what the majority of the so-called Republicans wanted in the United States Senate, he wouldn't be the leader because they could oust him anytime. But he must be doing what they all want, which is running interference for them. And that's why I think our people need to vote out the lion's share of those senators. Thank you, lady. Folks, see you tomorrow, Friday, on The Voice of Texas. See you, pal. There goes The Voice of Texas, my friends. It is, that's the biggest bugaboo that a lot of people are, the wake-up call that April just got, folks, people are like, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. Yeah. The leader of the United States Senate is there courtesy of the senators he allegedly is leading. And so John Thune, if he was doing something they didn't like, he would be gone. And, the only person I can see who is out there declaring that Senator Thune is doing something they don't like, even though he's doing it very respectfully, is Senator Mike Lee. So there's one out of the 54 Republicans. Apparently the rest of them are all about, hate Trump, and deny, and because we hate Trump, deny the Save America Act. Let's let the Democrats continue to cheat in Democrat blue states and in blue areas in Texas and blue areas in red states. Let's let them cheat. I don't agree. I don't want foreign nationals deciding my elections. I don't want ineligible voters canceling out my vote. Now, some of you do. Some of you want your vote to be canceled out. That's your business. I don't. So I'm going to, now, when I pressed you guys today, some people actually called in. So I'm hoping the majority of you were listening and like, you know what? No. I am not going to allow my family to be sacrificed because Tom Tillis is butthurt, because Tom Cotton is butthurt, because John Thune is butthurt. I'm not going to allow my family to suffer. I hope you guys are of that mindset. I hope you guys back the original Republican who said we are supposed to be a government of, by, and for the people. I hope you don't look at that as a slogan. I hope you take it to heart and let it motivate you, because I can tell you these senators have gone to war with you. They've sided with socialists to attack you and your family. And they don't deserve re-election. None of them. None of them who have done this. All right, kids. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. I hope you have all of God's blessings. Yes, we don't shy away from talking about God here on this show. Guys, great day. See you mañana for a Friday on the Chris Salcedo Show on Rumble.